Yo, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining me back again. I have got an even better story than the last one for you guys. Smart women need to marry down to become mothers because there aren't enough smart men to go around, researchers warn. And who are these researchers, I wonder? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say feminists. Wonder if I can turn this light on. I never use this. There we go. Hopefully that gives a bit more lighting. All right. So this is by Sanchez Manning. Dirty Sanchez, I'm going to assume. And it says, intelligent women should consider marrying less clever men if they want to start a family, according to researchers who tend to be lifetime university students, as was quite well pointed out just now in the comments. There are simply not enough brainy men to go around, so women may need to widen their search, warned the author of a report that found a growing number of professional women were freezing their eggs because they couldn't find Mr. Right. There are fewer educated men in the world for educated women to partner with, said Marcia Inhorn. There they go, conflating intelligence with education again. So if women want to find a partner with whom they can have children, they need a more expansive notion of who is Mr. Right. And a good partner might not be exactly someone of similar educational background and socioeconomic circumstances, but there can still be really wonderful relationships with men who are interested in marriage and parenthood. According to the World Bank, 70 countries have more women educated to university level than men. In Britain, the proportion of female students rose from 45% in 1985 to 54% in 2000, and much higher by now. Those who graduated in 2000 are now in their mid to late 30s. Ooh, that's dangerous territory right there when we're talking about fertility. That's dangerous territory. And according to Professor Inhorn, many are turning to egg freezing because they're unable to find partners of similar intelligence and educational background. You mean of similar feminist indoctrination. The Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority said 1,173 British women had eggs frozen in 2016, a 10% rise on the previous year. Professor Inhorn's study, presented at the European Society of Human Reproduction and Embryology's meeting in Barcelona, involved questioning 150 American and Israeli women with high levels of education who had chosen to freeze their eggs. She found that 85% of them were single and the majority had opted for egg freezing due to a lack of a stable partner. But women may be slow to follow Professor Inhorn's advice, as her own research shows that hypergamy, or marrying down, is unpopular with women. Well, would you imagine my shock at marrying down being unpopular with women? Now, you know, I'd like to create this comparison with a particular disease. Some of you may know it, diabetes. Now, with diabetes, if you have too much sugar, you're hyperglycemic. Whereas if you have not enough, you're hypoglycemic. So you've got hypergamy and hypogamy. Hypogamy is where the women don't have enough sugar, right? They don't get enough sugar from the person they married down to, right? Whereas hypergamy is where they want all the sugar from the guy they're marrying up to. They didn't want to marry or partner with someone less educated and of lower socioeconomic status, she said. They wanted equality in their relationship. In fact, another study co-authored by Professor Inhorn found women often desired men from a higher socioeconomic level. Traditionally, women in societies around the world have tried to achieve hypergamy, or marrying up, in an attempt to secure a better future for themselves and their children, the study said. Although it acknowledged that with more women in education, these trends may be reversing. Oh, you think? You think? Now, I've got a very interesting comment here from Elvin. Said, oh no, hate this marry up, marry down mentality. Marry someone with a good heart and shares your values or wants a family, or don't marry at all. I totally agree. Or better still, just don't get married at all. Go MGTOW. God Botherer says, lifetime university students end up as researchers, ABC journalists, or Labour Party MPs. That's pretty much absolutely accurate. And we men, in all honesty, for any women listening to this, we don't give a fuck if you've got a degree at university. We couldn't give a shit. We don't care about what degree you've done at university or how you smashed the glass ceiling. We don't give a fuck. Let me tell you what we give a fuck about, right? And this is going to be a little bit brutal for some of you to handle, right? We care about someone that is not insufferable, that we can tolerate for more than a day at a time, who has nice titties and a nice ass and hopefully a nice smile as well, right? Is that too much to ask for? Apparently it is. Apparently that's objectifying women. But you know what? This is evolutionary psychology. It has been this way for so many hundreds of thousands of years. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, right? The chickens are clashing with feminism, because feminism's saying you can't objectify us. You can't want our bodies, right? We're going to be educated and we're going to earn more than men, right? But then you want men that earn more than you and that are more educated than you, that don't want to objectify you. And none of those things are happening because you fucked it all, right? In my view, if I come across a woman who's university educated, I'm like, oh, I'm a bit iffy on this one, right? It's typically a negative for us if we hear that you've got your master's or your doctorate, because that means you're even more indoctrinated than the average Joe who just watches the mainstream media that indoctrinates everybody, right? Absolutely crazy. And God Botherer says, when he was trying to look for a Christian wife, the church girls had this shopping list of who their ideal husband had to be, but I had to accept them for being reformed sluts. And this is the problem, right? The double standards. You know, if we were a reformed man slut and we wanted a like top level woman, they'd go, that guy's just he's just a fuck boy. You know, he's a loser. What a dead shit. You know, who does that? But yet you want us to expect you for being exactly the same. I'm sorry. Doesn't work when you want to flip it on us, right? We'll get the same standards as you ladies, right? We want someone that is not university educated but that is intelligent. Those two things are not the same. Mark my words, they are not the same thing. What do we got here? A woman with a master's degree in gender studies making 40 grand a year, 100k in debt, thinks a guy making 60k a year and no debt is marrying down. Yeah, exactly. So the guy still earns more than you, has no debt, has actually something going for himself, but yeah, still not good enough. They got to make more than that. The standards are off the scale. Ah, dear. We've got a soy boy in the box. Oscar Valdez. You MGTOWs aren't real men. I'm going to marry me a nice fat 40-year-old white woman with 5 black kids. Man up. Oh, sorry, Oscar, you're being facetious. I appreciate that, man. But you know, honestly, this whole you MGTOWs aren't real men that we're getting all the time by soy boys and feminists. So I apologize that I thought that you were at first glance, Oscar. My mistake, brother. This whole shaming tactics that women use on us, it's not working anymore. Right? What were they calling us? They were calling us misogynists. That didn't work. Then they were calling us pigs. That didn't work. They're calling us rapists. That didn't work. They're literally just cycling through the playbook of female insults, and none of it's working, and they don't understand. Right? Absolutely ridiculous. So it is just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And even if you do get a good degree at university, as John Kevin said, they are all now done through a feminist lens, right? So you've got to learn you've got to do an LGBT unit. You've got to do a mandatory consent course, even if you don't go on campus, even if you're doing distance education, right? And then if you're studying law, you have to study law through a feminist lens. It is absolutely insane and it's disgusting. And they don't get right? How can you possibly study law through a feminist lens, right? It's the law or it's not. There's no lens, right? It's just this is the whole feminism's about equality, complete BS. That's just the reality, right? Equality of the sexes already exists. Men just get the raw end of the stick and we're done with it. That's why we don't want to get married. That's why we don't want to be in cohabitive relationships. That's why we don't want to give you half-ass shit. Like, that's why we don't want to give you power over us by being in a relationship with you where you can accuse us of things and take from us and hurt us, right? With the law on your side, right? I got a guy, Charlie Brown, was watching Good Morning Australia at the doctors today. They were talking about marrying down, and of course they only had a feminazi interviewed that divorce raped the guy. Of course they had a feminist that divorce raped the guy. Why am I not surprised? Not even remotely surprised. Pub Test says, my mum asked why is a gender studies degree so bad? I explained it was the same as an arts degree from the 80s. We both laughed loudly. It's even worse than that, actually. Single mothers are like mining companies. They look for resources, dig them up just to bring in the money for their shareholders, children. Exactly. And look, and I would say, unfortunately, over 50% of single mothers would be that way. There are some that I know personally that I really respect, that have even met guys later on down the track, and they're even really hard on themselves because they're always saying, I just feel like whatever I do is not enough. And it's like, well, all you can do is try. And if you're doing the things that works, and if you're supporting your kids, right, and those kids are thriving, like I've seen them, right? So this friend of mine, she's a very, very good mum, and was a very, very good single mum. Like, she struggled, but she put herself on the line for her kids, and she never ever put herself first, ever. But unfortunately, most single mothers do. But there are a few good exceptions to the rule, just unfortunately aren't many. And the sad thing is that no matter how good a single mother is, that's not the same as having that male influence in their lives. Breezy Boy says, the new thing I've seen lately is they call MGTOW the new gay. Yeah, exactly. More useless, pathetic shaming tactics. It's like, bitches, I'm a duck. And you're dropping water on me. That shit goes off my back. Have you ever seen a duck that gets water on them? It just like beads straight off. Right? It's like wax on your car. Just sort of water, sort of straight off. Can't touch you. Charlie Brown says, how good is that David guy in government calling out the Greens feminazi for misandry? Exactly. He is David Leyenhelm from the Liberal Democrats Party. He's the leader. That is the party that I think we need to be voting for in the next election, if not One Nation. Yeah, exactly right, MGTOW metal dude. They're calling us incels now. Yeah, it's like, because we're saying no to the women that are begging for our cock, we're involuntarily celibate. Yeah, okay. I don't think you know what involuntary means. Right? You haven't actually looked at the word incel past seeing someone else use it as an insult. You've just followed them like sheep. Right? Such a joke. Maybe I should run for parliament. Can you imagine Sydney in parliament? I reckon that would be a pretty damn good sight to see. And Jordan says the next 5 years are going to be interesting. The vast majority of women will be alone, miserable, and single since more men are becoming aware of their nature. Exactly. And MGTOW is waking men up to what's going on with female nature. MGTOW is waking men up so they can actually understand what life is really all about. And I'll give you a hot tip. It's not about trying to appease women. That's the main thing. Right? Simon Says News says, gay, yes, we are fucking happy. It's funny, I actually saw, if you guys are seeing queer kid stuff, that's just cancer. But if you want to get cancer, go and look it up on YouTube, queer kid stuff. And the lead-in song has got a drag queen saying, it's okay to be gay. Gay means happy. And it's like, yeah, so you're basically telling kids it's okay to be gay because that means you're happy. So liking dick means that you're happy, or if you're a chick, liking vagina means that you're happy, but you can't be happy if you're not gay, because gay means happy. Such a ridiculous way, and they're literally manipulating language to create so much confusion in the minds of young kids, and it's just pure indoctrination, just like the schools program. Dave Ritchie, still lots of cucks and manginas though. Jordan, I think you might be right though. Exactly right. There is always going to be a lot of cucks and manginas, but all of good men, all of the alpha men with the confidence, with masculinity, like your boy Sydney here, right? All of those men are going to be unavailable to women in the next 5 to 10 years, and they're not going to be happy, and they're still going to be going, "What went wrong? What went wrong? Why don't men want to date us?" It's like it's going to need some real talk from some serious alpha men to serve it up to them cold, right? Because revenge is best served cold, as is the truth. Cucks lash out at MGTOW and exclaim incel because they refuse to accept their cucks. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Godbrother says if MGTOW is gay, well, gay men and gay/happy for a reason. Plus they're rich. No wonder gay men are happy. They have money and no women to hear their bitching all the time. That's right. That's right. And I will need to trim my beard if I was in Parliament. I would be attacking gender studies because that's where all the identity politics is coming from. You know, see how we go. Hey, maybe it'd be pretty good if that happened. Charlie, I didn't see the gay guy on Goodfellas stream the other day at all. How hypocritical is the mainstream? Being against gay marriage is discriminatory, but calling MGTOWs gay is free speech. Yeah, I know, right? I know, right? How ridiculous is that? So, yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to me about because see, we've never seen. Basically, we've seen the collision of a few contradicting ideas, concepts, and general lifestyles. So we've got feminism, which is pushing more women into unis, which is then creating an anti-male environment, and a heavily left-wing anti-male environment, mind you, especially with gender studies and all this identity politics, shitting on men and straight white men and all of this nonsense. So you've now got more women earning more money than men in the age group that typically most of the dating happens in. So the women have literally come in, they've forced their ways into universities, they've forced men out, and then they complain that there's no educated men for them to date. And it's like, you did this to yourselves. You actually did this to yourselves. And you're coming and complaining to us why? And you're wondering why you can't find men? I mean, you clearly didn't do any statistics in your degree, in your sociology degree. You definitely didn't do economics. Because if you did anything in maths or engineering or STEM, you would know that statistics and numbers are actually a pretty important part of life. And they reflect on things. Right? Right? You guys got me back here. Let's see. Yeah. Hopefully that worked. Yeah, we're going back. Sorry, I just got a call coming through which cut me off. That's a bit annoying. I might have to start redirecting all calls to voicemail in instances such as this. So, yeah, we're getting at women have said we want more women in university. Okay, well, more women in university means less men, right? Which is fine. Have your university. I don't have a problem with that. But then you want better men, right? So hypergamy is clashing with feminism. And this was never an issue before, but now that feminism is pushing women into universities, it's giving them all these jobs through affirmative action, you know, all of this identity politics and diversity is forcing more women into higher roles and forcing men down, right? And then women can't find guys to date. And it's like, well, you kind of brought this upon yourselves. But the thing is, it's only the elite few and the feminists, the university educated ones, that wanted this. The rest of the female population had no interest in all this identity politics. They wanted hypergamy. They wanted things to be the way that they always were, you know, traditionally. So I think it's funny. And one day your boy Sydney is going to get on TV and he's going to serve up some truth bombs to these chicks. One day. Mark my words. So when you see the ginger on TV, you're going to be like, whoa, that's Sydney. What up, Sydney? But of course I won't be able to hear you talking to me or read your comments because, well, TV isn't interactive in that way, unfortunately. That's why I love YouTube, right? And this is why I'm prepared to suffer a couple of cutouts and a bit of lower quality video so that I can bring it to you guys in this way and ebb and flow with the conversation. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, Jesse Higginson says Sydney MGTOW for PM. You have my vote. Man, Jesse, just vote for Senator David Landenhelm, and we'll go from there. Hopefully one day. You know what would be sick? You know what would be sick if I could get into the Senate and become the Minister for Men. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Sydney MGTOW, the Minister for Men. Well, maybe I might have to use my real name for that. So, you know, if I'm going to go that balls deep, then I guess you guys can know my real name. But let's just wait until that happens. Let's just wait until that happens. And then we'll go from there. Ralph Wickham will migrate to Australia to vote me in. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. In Newtown, we've got Metal Dude in Newtown has seen a lot of pro-feminazi posters, and guess who's putting them up? A lot of emasculated beta males. Man, Newtown is just full of cucks, soy boys, feminists, SJWs, green-haired animals. Yeah. Ugh, filthy. Vote one MGTOW party, Charlie Brown says. Yeah, exactly. You know, we just need a return to rationality, and anything. We need a government that will stand up against anyone who calls for the subjugation of men or women, right? Get rid of them too. Get rid of deplatform anybody who calls for the subjugation of any gender, right? Because that's not what we're about. We're never going to have a cohesive society if this divisiveness and this identity politics continues. And some people may say you're being divisive, Sydney, right? Some people may say, well, you know, your identity politics is, you know, divisive. It's like, well, no, this is, and I'll tell you why I don't think my identity politics are divisive. And you're entitled to your opinion, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I don't think I cause divisiveness is because we already... I'm just trying to think of how to articulate this properly so I can really convey the message that I'm trying to say. Like, I'm just letting men know about female nature, right? I'm just letting men know that it's okay for them to say no to other people. I'm letting men know that it's important for them to work on themselves. And I'm letting men know they shouldn't sacrifice themselves at the altar of gynocentrism by getting married in the current framework of the law. Why is that so wrong? There are no laws that discriminate against women to the extent that marriage and family law separates against men. Discriminates against men. Right? If women were being discriminated at the same level as men are, they would be screeching and carrying on. Not even back in the 60s and 70s, women being discriminated against the way that men are now. It is just absolutely nuts. It is beyond spastic. I tell you what I'm looking forward to, though. I am looking forward to the population dwindling to a point that property just becomes cheap again. That's going to be awesome, because then I can buy up a heap of it and rent it out and have a lifetime income stream for myself, and if I have a family, you know, my future generations. Right, like a boss. Like a boss, Sydney. And while I'm stopped here, we need to go back to actual democracy and remove socialism and remove political correctness and remove identity politics. I totally agree with you, Charlie Brown. It's all coming out of the universities. It's all feminist rhetoric, and it's got to stop. And if I can get into Parliament, as I've always wanted to do ever since I started doing my channel, and realizing that changes need to happen, and you need to have a man in Parliament who stands up and doesn't put up with bullshit, who speaks the truth, who calls people out on their crap, who calls out the soy boys and the feminists on their nasty rhetoric and quotes them word for word, right, and hauls them over the hot coals for it. This is what we need, genuinely. And I will do whatever I can to make that happen, whether it's by way of influence or position of power. Man, the feminists would hate to see a straight white masculine male like your boy Sydney in a position of power and calling them out, no less. They would hate that. They would hate that. Right? And yeah, guys, good idea. Never ever go one-on-one with a female co-worker. You will lose out every time because of the laws. Mark Latham, David Langenhelm, they are masculine bosses. They call out the bullshit. They know what's going on. They know where the identity politics and the nasty feminist rhetoric is coming from, and they won't stand for it anymore. And apparently a feminist got fired from Guild Wars because she cried sexism and everyone saw the abuse, and boss fired her. Good. Feminists are scared of Lauren Southern coming here. Lauren Southern finally got her visa approved. They've been trying to fight against it for ages. But they lost their battle. She's coming here on a working visa, and she's going to speak the truth about everything she sees going on in Australia. Right? How we're harming ourselves in many different ways. One of the many different ways being the feminism that I've just talked about, the toxic feminism, the toxic rhetoric. And they can't stop it, right? The red pills are flowing now, men. The tap has been turned on and welded open, right? You can't stop the red pills. You can't stop your boy Sydney, right? If you cut me off on YouTube, I'm going to be there on Vimeo. If you cut me off on Vimeo, I'm going to be on Instagram. There's no way you can stop me. That's all I'm going to say. I believe David Langenhelm is pro-gun, however. So that's a good thing, guys. That's a good thing. Do your research, but I'm pretty certain that I'm spot on with that one. Pub test, I know you may or may not be able to confirm that. Let me know what you got going on there. There's no stopping. You know, the masses are being awakened, and we're saying no, which is, by the way, guys, the most powerful word in the English language. Just like to let you know that. Anyway, yeah, here we go. So Pub Test has confirmed David Langenhelm, the leader of the Liberal Democrats Party and the potential new Prime Minister, if enough people vote for him. He is pro-gun. He is anti-feminism. He is anti-Sarah Hanson-Young. He is anti-misandry. And also he's just basically an all-round top guy. And if I was going to recommend that you vote for anyone, it would be him. And also, we've got chicken fajitas over here saying put the Greens last. Yeah, put the Greens as your last preference on the voting papers. Labour second last, Liberal third last. I mean, that's just my personal view. Some of you guys have got other voting preferences. That's cool. But, you know, just letting you know, in terms of identity politics, Greens are the worst, Labour are next worst, and then that doesn't make grammatical sense, does it? Greens are the worst, closely followed by Labour, closely followed by the Liberals. And then you see the Liberal National Party is leaning to the left now, whereas the Liberal Democrats Party is your no bullshit Senator David Leyonhjelm, pro-gun, anti-feminism. He doesn't say anti-feminism, but you know, feminism is basically anti-male in Australia, so he's pro-egalitarian. So, pub test. What do you mean the strongest message in voting is who you put last? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah. Anyway. And David Leyonhjelm was on Bearing's channel. Go check out Bearing as well. David Leyonhjelm has been doing several cool interviews. I believe he also did an interview with Patina Ant, which I'm looking forward to watching as well. Patina has been really supporting supporting men these days. She's retired. She's no longer a female dating coach, so she's quite pro men. She has a young son who's got a daughter, and you know, she actually gives a shit about men. So you know, take from that what you will. You can have your own opinions, but you know, I've watched her quite extensively, and she's gone to the International Conference for Men's Issues. She keeps sticking her own neck out in the mainstream media to stand up for men, and she helps guys out who get fucked over by the blue pill matrix as well. Anyway, guys, James Marley, if you are a cuck, you can vote for the Greens and Sarah Hanson Young. And there's a bit of turbo flutter for God Botherer, my man. Alright guys, I'm going to bounce for now. It was good to see you all again for my second stream of the night. If you want to donate to me, head on over to patreon.com/Sydney MGTOW. If you don't, that's totally cool. You can check out my antics on Twitter as well, triggering feminazis. Head on over to Twitter, also Sydney MGTOW there. And yes, I look forward to doing my next video with my next topic, and seeing hypergamy with feminism, because the two things are not compatible. Feminism is a social movement, hypergamy is evolutionary, and you don't get, like, you can't social engineer evolution. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright guys, I'm out of here. Thank you so much, and for now, peace.